Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Nando De Luca. I appear as counsel for the Conservative Party of Canada. Given the limited amount of time, I am appearing virtually. By way of a roadmap, I intend to use the 7 minutes allocated to my client to urge one particular factual finding upon the Commission that we say emerges as a clear theme from the evidence the Commission heard. With any remaining time, I will address one or two policy points that we say the Commission should consider as it tackles the factual issues it identifies. First, the evidence this Commission has received points directly to and fully supports the conclusion set out in this morning's Globe and Mail editorial, which we say this Commission should also be brave enough to make as a finding of fact. That is, when it comes to foreign interference, the needs of the Trudeau government, not Canada's, have been the guiding principle. The Globe also makes the following assessment, which we would adopt and which we submit the evidence this inquiry supports. Image over substance and party before country. For many months, for far too many months, that has been how Mr. Trudeau and his Liberals have approached what should be the deadly serious matter of foreign interference. While the evidence that was made available to the public on this inquiry was limited by many constraints, some facts became clear. In the first phase, we learned that Mr. Trudeau was briefed about matters of foreign interference with respect to prospective candidate Han Dong within hours of the deadline in the 2019 election to substitute in a new candidate in Don Valley North. Rather than risk not having a Liberal candidate on the ballot in a single riding, Mr. Trudeau put party before country and turned a blind eye to the intelligence about Mr. Dong. And Mr. Trudeau cannot hide behind any professed imperfections in his knowledge about all of the intelligence and all of the facts regarding the Dong matter. He had unfettered access to all of the Dong information in 2019, and he has had unfettered access to all of the information, classified and unclassified, that has been developed in the subsequent 5 years. Mr. Trudeau wants Canadians to believe he took serious action with respect to the information he received about Mr. Dong, but this is false. Instead, Mr. Dong successfully ran as a Liberal candidate in a subsequent election in 2021 and sat in the Liberal caucus for a total of 4 years until the allegations against him became public in the face of Mr. Trudeau's inaction. It was only then, we are told, that Mr. Dong, apparently of his own volition, rose in the Commons and indicated that he was withdrawing from the Liberal caucus. Since then, Mr. Dong is on record that he would like to rejoin caucus, and Minister LeBlanc is on record that he is willing to mediate Mr. Dong's return to the caucus with the Prime Minister, only to have Mr. LeBlanc tell us last week that the Liberals are now waiting for the Commission's report before taking the matter up again, thus continuing to leave Canadians in the dark 5 years after the fact on what is a very serious matter. In the second phase, we learned more about a warrant connected to foreign interference in our democracy that languished in the hands of a Liberal partisan political staffer for 54 days. Although Minister Blair confirmed the target of the warrant publicly and under oath in the first phase of the inquiry, the Liberal government lawyers now want us to now pretend that they do not know that it targeted Michael Chan, a power broker with deep and long ties to the Liberal Party, both provincially and federally, and that the warrant application would have no doubt affected other highly placed Liberals on the Van Wienen list. Minister Blair and his chief of staff, whose own ties with the Liberal Party run long and deep, twisted in the wind with no explanations as to how a politically sensitive warrant that would impact their party was allowed to languish for 54 days. The answer is obvious. Upon receipt of the warrant application and its targets, they realized that there were a whole lot of Liberals that were going to be surveilled by the security agencies around foreign interference, and the information that was going to emerge was not likely to be helpful to the Liberal cause. So what did they do? They simply slow-walked the application so that it took 6 times longer than the usual 9 days to get processed and approved. And rather than there being any consequences, the Prime Minister declared his full faith in Minister Blair and Ms. Astrabas. Of course he has full faith. Prime Minister Trudeau has full faith that his partisan ministers and partisan political staffers will do whatever they can to stymie investigations that would impede foreign interference that they perceive as helping them. And finally, the Prime Minister's nakedly partisan performance here last week, performed only as a drama teacher could, confirmed that rather than taking foreign interference seriously, he's content to leverage it for cheap political gain. With great dramatic effect, and in an oratory reminiscent of Senator McCarthy's name speech in 1950, the Prime Minister solemnly announced that he was in possession of a list of current and former Conservative parliamentarians that were at risk of foreign interference. A few minutes later, though, in cross-examination, he was forced to admit that his list of names included not only Conservative Party parliamentarians, but indeed Liberal ones too, a fact that he conveniently omitted in his evidence in chief. And then, when I tried to press him for further details about this salacious accusation that he had leveled, rather than coming clean with Canadians, the Prime Minister and the government took refuge in the so-called national security interest privilege, which it seems appears to be quite malleable in the hands of those who control it. We saw ministers and senior staff who have never been briefed, and when they had been briefed, they had no recollection what they had been told or what they had said or done. It is apparent that the current government has treated foreign interference as a partisan tool that it can ignore or enable when it thinks it is benefiting it, or as we say here, trying to turn into a distraction when faced with other political scandals, like the news this week of 1/3 of the Prime Minister's backbench caucus calling for his resignation. With respect to policy, we believe that this commission should find that the government has the constitutional and legislative resources at its disposal to combat foreign interference. When public servants, elected officials, or others in the public life are being targeted by foreign interference, they can be told. The Prime Minister has no problem rising in the House of Commons to disclose otherwise classified information when he wishes. And the Commission should conclude that national security actors are already empowered under Section 12.1 of the CSIS Act to employ what are called threat reduction matters, TRMs, to brief individuals that are positioned to take action to reduce threats, even if those individuals are not the direct target of the threat. There is nothing in Section 12.1 that prevents that. And if there is any ambiguity or shortcoming, the Commission can and should provide guidance to clarify it. Finally, we caution against recommendations that would impede the free speech of Canadian citizens or political leaders. The idea of using the threat of foreign interference in democratic processes as a trigger for the government to try to further regulate what Canadians see or say is not something that should result from this inquiry. Indeed, it would be a sad outcome if the threat of foreign totalitarian states interfering in Canadian democracy resulted in greater government curtailment of Canadians' free speech.
My name's Aaron, this is Canadian Looney. We're covering Canadian federal politics right here, learning what we can, sharing it with you. Like, subscribe, share, get notified, all those fun things. Please leave a comment. I do love the comments. We'll catch you next video. Thank you for watching this one. Catch you next time.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics. Oh